complex on the screen, healthcare in between. Physics, art, and math got us down this path. Historical tales come alive, where science and stories dive. Blended facts with heart, knowledge from the start. Need bridge blues we sing to the future memory. Health and science in the mix. Maybrick's got the fix. Complex subjects make
right
clear
now
every episode
in ways that we actually acquire
leads the way.
and ways that make me more efficient.
In the world of digital streams, turning knowledge into dreams. Through the tales of old, new stories unfold.
Thank you so much for joining with me. It is a truly an honor and a privilege.
MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming.
Hey, welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Raman Annamaraju. I'm the host. Today's program actually is very personal to me, very special to me, in fact. You know, I've been involved with Indian physicians for a long time. I studied computer science and nuclear engineering, but immediately after that, I just immersed in the healthcare area. So Indian physicians were very instrumental in helping me, shaping my entire healthcare career. So, it is very special to me because, beginning days, I can tell you that the trials of the Indian physicians, I know a lot of doctors who struggled, so many times, they felt the discrimination. I know a doctor who got a refusal loan for a house, simple house, in the beginning days when the Indian doctors, there is no at that time, Indian doctors or India is not on the map at all. Japan was all in this center stage. So at that time, they were struggling inch by inch. They moved on. A lot of doctors stayed in my house. I was finding them, finding the jobs for them. It is a really a struggle. And then when you go in Georgia, I used to go to small town, Baxley, Alma. There is a small towns. You see Indian doctors. That's not too many other doctors there. Indian doctors really saved it's not exaggerating if I tell you they saved India, they saved the United States and rural areas, and then they saved the entire world. I tell you how they saved it. The reason was the Indian doctors, the first ones, we had some money and they invested something back home. And then that investment turned into computers, and then a lot of computers we learned the computers there, and then the large number of programmers came back. Now all the major technology companies run by Indian CEOs. That's a really indirect contribution of the physicians. What they did was that if you travel, I used to travel to small towns to place doctors. I placed lots of doctors in rural areas. There are some women who could not get even an ultrasound for 7 months. And then I used to go there, the name of the towns, small towns in Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina. I traveled quite a bit there. In California even. You will be surprised, if you go to Central Valley, there's small towns there. So Indian doctors' contribution is enormous in this world. Now they became a force. They're the largest, the second largest organization of the physicians is the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin. Myself, and Satheesh from Tampa, and Santichari from Dallas, we used to all hang the non-physician three. We supported AAPI in the beginning days. We used to go to their conferences. We used to do all those things. It is extremely personal and closer to me, this organization. I remember Dr. Naveen Nanda was the president. It was it was officially, launched the AAPI through Dr. Naveen Nanda is a cardiologist from Alabama, a good friend of mine, and he is like, I used to go to all his meetings and everything. It is enormous contributions what they did. Honestly, that is a generation. I'm not talking about the present generation of Indians. They got a silver spoon in their plate, because a lot of these doctors and all those things they did not go through. We all came from a small towns, villages. The first generation of Indians who came to this country came from villages. I'm from a small village. So I think I'm so privileged to talk with one of my good friend, Dr. Is the president of Indian Association, 100,000 organization. It is members, and it is a American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, AAPI. It's called, very popularly known as AAPI. They have annual conventions every year. The president is now Satheesh Kathula, is an oncologist from Ohio. He's going to join. But let me give you some little bit of before that I need to do some housekeeping. I'm going to introduce you a little bit of let me talk about a little bit about this couple of people. I want to tell you something about my friend, a good friend, another computer guy who bought a lot of computer programmers in the beginning. His name is Krishna Srinivasa. He just passed away last week. He's a good friend of mine from Atlanta, Georgia. He is one of the first few companies from India who brought the programmers to do HMO software for the hospitals and the HMO. So he was one of the first guys. Recently passed away at the age of 80. He lived a full life, and he is a very fixed figure in the Republican Party. So he was. The whole world is in that chance. He was the only lonely guy in the Republican Party at that time, but he was a very he is from my Andhra Pradesh, state of Andhra Pradesh. He passed away last week. Rest in peace, Krishna. Then I want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about is another legend actually. His name is Dr. Yellappada Subbarao. He came from my hometown. People don't know about him. He came in he was born in 1895 and died in 1948. We got the independence. Right after the independence, he died. So Yellappada Subbarao is from my hometown, Bhimvaram, state of Andhra Pradesh. He deserves 4 Nobel Prizes. I tell you what, he did the first chemotherapy drug, first broad spectrum antibiotic, first strip test, the chemotherapy methotrexate. He is the origin of the methotrexate. First broad spectrum antibiotic, automycin. He is the first one who gave the broad spectrum antibiotic. In the first strip test, phosphorus test, to check the second mineral after the calcium is a phosphorus in the body. That is a test. First strip test he found out. First topical drug, heterazone tablets. That's really saved millions of people. World Health Organization essential list. All these medicines are now part of the World Health Organization's essential list. So I'm going to ask him, my fellow, the president of the AAPI, about him a little bit. So let me, Dr. Kathula is a very well respected oncologist. He's from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio. He's a diplomat he's also not only board certified oncologist, hematologist and oncologist, and he's also board certified in lifestyle medicine. That's Indian, the kind of things others do. Then he did a artificial intelligence course from Stanford. He did some Harvard courses, some there, and he was a man of the year, and he has a lot of credentials. So let us talk with him. Let me bring him to the table, and then let us ask him what we can do with. Let me bring him. This is just okay. That 1 second. New scene. Media. Let me bring him. Welcome to the MedBix webcast. This is Dr. Kathula, president of AAPI. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for
So
having
let
me.
us talk about you. Let us talk about your journey into the AAPI, Association of Indian Physicians Origin, American Association of Indian Physicians of Indian Origin. What is your journey up to so far?
Well, it's been a long journey, I should say. I started out, about 20 plus years ago as a member, and I've been a governing body member for the last 15 plus years. And I kind of climbed up through the ranks. I have, done a lot of things, including the local chapter president, state chapter president, regional director twice. And then I was treasurer, elected treasurer. Before that, I was board of trustees, which was also an elected position. And then after BOT, I did treasurer post. After that, I was elected as secretary. Then I was elected as vice president. And then I did president-elect last year, and now I'm the president. So the journey has been really long. I started at grassroots, and it's been a long and rewarding journey. Mostly, wherever I go, I meet new people, and it's very rewarding. So the first meeting I attended in the United States in 1995 was actually AAPI meeting. That's the first medical conference ever I have attended in United States. So at that time, one of my uncles took me to this meetings. So AAPI meeting in downtown Chicago in 1995. So I didn't know anything at that time because I was very new in the country, and I had a chance to meet a lot of physicians and did some networking. Not only that, President Clinton, who was the sitting president at that time, he was the chief guest, and I was really shocked with the unity of Indian physicians and the potential. I was really fascinated, and sitting president of U.S. came to this meeting. I thought this is really a very influential organization, and I wanted to be part of that from the beginning. So I should say my journey in AAPI has been 30 years now, if you count my initial experience back in 1995. So, and now I'm the president, which I'm really proud of, proud to lead this elite group of people. They're all very smart, as you know, and they're all, doctors all over the country, from different parts of India, living and practicing in different parts of the United States. And AAPI actually represents about 15,000 dues-paying members. Also, it represents about 100,000 physicians of Indian origin, first and second generation combined.
Dr. Kathula, let us talk about your oncologist first. That is the first and foremost job we have. So
Exactly.
let us talk about that cancer a little bit. Then we will get into the API
Sure, sure,
details.
yeah.
So one of the things is a stem cell. You're talking about the Indian donors are, when you compare to the American donors, Indian donors are dismal number. That's what you said. So
Yeah.
let us talk about that a little bit about the donorship and the bone marrow transplant you were talking about. Can you explain that a little bit to our audience?
Absolutely. This is a very, very important thing that we are focusing on this year. Being an oncologist, I've seen a lot of leukemia and lymphoma patients, and some of them do need a stem cell transplant. Some of them, have their own transplant, their own stem cell transplant, but some of them need stem cells from other people, matched donors, what we call. So the chance of matching the family is very high, but there is also something called matched unrelated donors. For example, if somebody needs a stem cell transplant, the chance of getting a match in the US population, Caucasian population, is about 20 to 30%. Whereas for Indians, if anybody needs a bone marrow transplant, the chance of finding a donor is less than 0.001%. So extremely low chance because we have not registered ourselves in the registries like National Marrow Donor Program. So now we are actually encouraging people to get registered of Indian or Southeast Asian descent. So they can, it's a simple process. What we do is once they register with the donor registry, they send a kit which has a swab, and you just take a buccal mucosal sample from your cheek and you send it to them, and they keep that in their registry. And then if there's a need for the bone marrow, they run all these DNA samples to see who is the match. So if somebody's a match, they call them. At that time, the collection of stem cells is very simple. It's not like a bone marrow, drilling into bone marrow and taking the bone marrow, which we used to do 25, 30 years ago. But now we are doing more of stem cell transplants where we put a line, we take stem cells, and there's no harm to the patient. And the patient goes home and nothing more has to be done. No surgeries, nothing for the donor. And it's a simple process which is life saving. So that's why we are really asking all people of Indian descent who are 18 to 40 years of age to register in these registries to save lives. So
That is, that is a given 1.5 billion people. We are really, donorship is a very, very
absolutely,
dismal and very disappointing.
in India, there are not that many registries.
Yeah.
India definitely has more chance of finding somebody if you need. So we're also trying to link the US and Indian donor pool so that if somebody needs a bone marrow or stem cells, we can, actually reach out to people in India too if there is a match. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot more things that we can do through this organization. This is one of the things I envisioned like 2 or 3 years ago. Now we have people, we have all these doctors, and they can help us, and we can go into communities like a lot of Indian organizations or Southeast Asian organizations to really promote this and to have more donors register in these programs.
Let us talk about India. You just spoke about India. We are from the same state, both you and me. You know that about the cancer situation in India. What is the cancer state of the affairs? Breast cancer, for example, do you have enough screenings in India? What are the things that is needed to address this massive population, 1.5 billion people? Screening and treatment and diagnosing and treatment and prognosis. All of them are involved. What is the state of the affairs? What are the things required resources wise in India, Dr. Kathula?
Yeah, I mean, in America, 1 in 8 women develop breast cancer. And we do have good screening programs here. A lot of people get the mammogram done when they turn 40 years of age. They can get mammogram done, and after that, every year, and it is paid by the insurance, and it's very, streamlined process, and they can, get that done. And if there's any early tumor or precancerous lesions, they can actually remove them. It's very easy for people here, but whereas in India, 1 in 27 people develop cancer there, and the incidence is increasing because of westernization, because of the food habits, because of lack of activity, because of exposure to so many chemicals and all that. So definitely the breast cancer and all cancers, in fact, like lung, cervical, all of these are actually increasing in incidence. So there is no emphasis on screening in India. So that's what I was talking in many conferences. In fact, they have done a conference in New Delhi, by AAPI, and it's called the Global Healthcare Summit. We do that every year, and this time we have done it, especially on cancer prevention and prevention of heart attacks. And the reason why I did that was because there is no preventive, concept in India. It's all like they are treating patients who are sick and people who have stage 4 disease. Obviously, the cost is more and the survival is very low. So for that, we need to really detect cancers early, including breast, cervical, lung cancers, and then treat them early so that the cure rate will go high. So that's what we did this in this conference. We took a bunch of speakers from here. They're all very well qualified, world-class speakers, and we did a day seminar in New Delhi. And we also went as a delegation to healthcare minister in India, Honorable J.P. Nadda, and we did talk to him about how we can prevent these cancers, how we can increase the screening, especially mammograms. For example, a mammogram uptake rate in India is only 1%, as opposed to 90% in US, Canada, and other developed nations. But in India, it's only 1 to 2%, which is really, really low. We can improve that number so that people can detect cancers early, or even we can detect precancerous lesions, take them out so that we can prevent cancer. So we the health minister actually responded positively, and there's a lot more to be done. so pap smears, HPV vaccinations for cervical cancer. So these are all the things that we need to do in India because, as you said, it's 1.5 billion population, and there are a lot of people, at risk for cancer. So if we do the screening, that can prevent cancers or detect them early, so that we can cure them early and improve survival. Yeah.
Particularly cervical cancer can be very preventable, right? That's one of the things we have to do a lot more screenings on that
Yes,
one.
yes. 95% of cervical cancers are related to infection called HPV virus infection. So it's basically infectious disease more than cancer, if you think about it, because it's caused by a virus called human papilloma virus. So the virus can be prevented through health, what do you call lifestyle changes, having safe sex and things like that. Not only that, people who are young should be getting HPV vaccination. By that, we can prevent the disease. Yeah.
So let's talk about cardiovascular disease. Just mentioned a few minutes ago. So if that is the case, India is a Ayurveda is a very you had a board certified in lifestyle medicine. So it could be food as a medicine. Americans are now they're realizing how important the food is important is a powerful as a medicine. What do you think of that we change the habits, we process the food. So lifestyle medicine, what role it can play in Indian population in here and in India both?
Well, lifestyle is very, very important anywhere in the world, whether US or India, because most of the diseases are, lifestyle related. For example, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, heart disease, even cancer. Cancer is also a lifestyle related disease. More than 50-60% of the cancers are related to lifestyle. For example, smoking, drinking alcohol, eating processed meat, lack of physical activity, all these things, obesity, viral infections, like I mentioned, all these are lifestyle related, and pollution, air pollution, also environmental things. So these are all the things that can predispose people to have cancer. So and even for heart attacks, these lifestyle are very, very important. Modifying these lifestyles certainly will help. So that's one of the things that we have done in the most recent conference in India. What we did was we emphasized on lifestyle changes to actually prevent heart attacks and also and even cancer. So how we can really implement these things in public, like population health. How can we really focus on that? And we had several experts from India and US who came and participated in that conference. We brainstormed and we talked about how we can do that, and we definitely need public campaigns to really get the message out, because a lot of people don't realize why people are getting cancers. They don't know the risk factors, and they keep doing the things that they're not supposed to be doing. But once we educate them, there's a good chance that they may modify their lifestyle so that we can prevent some heart attacks and cancers and such. Yeah.
Dr. Kathula, I'm in the center of Silicon Valley. I'm calling you from Santa, I'm in the real epicenter of Silicon Valley. I mean, everybody is here is talking about artificial intelligence, AI. That is the AI in healthcare, particularly. That's the first thing they wanted to attack, because that's where they think there is opportunity. There's cost is, American system is a healthcare system is a paradox. The cost is going up and the access is going down. So they think that there is an opportunity. What is the role of artificial intelligence? You did some program in Stanford AI, artificial intelligence. You did that. That's a good thing. So tell us a little bit about what these as a doc physician think about the artificial intelligence. Does it help or does it hurt, or does it? What is your take on that one?
So, I mean, artificial intelligence is a double-edged sword, basically. So, number one, I see more good than bad with artificial intelligence. I mean, it's taking over a lot of fields. People are using that in radiology, dermatology, ophthalmology, wherever there are images used or graphs used. Artificial intelligence can actually process the data, and then it can actually detect, which a human eye can miss. So there are a lot of good things about AI, and right now we are using that in drug development. We are using that in cancer screening, for example, breast cancer, lung cancer screening. So it can actually read all these, thousands and thousands of X-rays or scans, mammograms, and then can really form its own detection capability, and then it's actually a good thing, because human eye can miss certain things, right? So it can even detect what a human eye cannot. So there are a lot of good things, but the bad things are, it all depends on how you program, how you write algorithms, what kind of data you're using. Data is the main thing. What you put in is what you get out. So if the data is not quality data, and if the algorithms are not written, then it becomes a problem. Also, there is a bias in these algorithms, because sometimes we screen only the people who are majority, not minority people. So how can we apply that to people who are in minority? So that becomes an issue too. And But overall, I would say it's going to really help physicians. And in physician community, there is a mixed feelings about AI. Some people think that it's a great thing, great tool. That's why I did this certification course from Stanford, because I wanted to know what it is and how it can help people. But I see more good, like I said, than bad. But it's not as fancy as people think. If a human cannot do, artificial intelligence cannot do. That's as simple as that. Is it going to replace doctors? That question always comes up. But what I would say is, it is going to replace the physicians who do not know the AI. So everybody has to be familiar with AI in healthcare. It's just like computers, right? So we did not have computers 25, 30 years ago. Now, wherever you go, we have to use computers, we have to use EMRs. So these are day-to-day things. So like that, AI will become a part of our daily routine. But if you don't know, if you don't embrace, then you're going to be replaced. So I think we need to embrace wherever it does help us. For example, we have workflow optimization, and then drug development, clinical research. All these things, AI can be used very well, actually. So what about the treatments? But treatments are risky, right? So if somebody's getting treatment with using AI, it can suggest the doctors what is best, and it can shortlist certain things and give that to the doctor, and the doctor can make a decision. But at the end of the day, the prescriptions will be written by doctors, the surgeries and the procedures will be done by doctors. I mean, there is a lot of what do you call misconception about AI, but I think we have to really choose good AI software, good AI systems, which can help us, not really hurt us. So yeah, definitely we have to look at so many things when we are evaluating an AI software program. Yeah.
Dr. Kathula, holy grail for this one is curing the cancer. Cancer is one of the deadliest disease. Everybody's scared of, everybody's worried about, particularly older, as you older you get. So the AI could accelerate that process. But one area, data, you were talking about data is not interoperability. They're not sharing the data. All these institutions, healthcare systems, as a president of the American Indian Association, a very strong force in this country, what are you thinking about interoperability, access to data that is they're not giving to a lot of people? For example, some of the healthcare systems and some of the health plans, they're not sharing the data. So do you have a stand on that one situation there, Dr. Kathula?
Well, it depends on the people. Some don't want to give their data because data has privacy issues. I mean, if you're talking about data from different fields, that's a different thing. But if you're talking about healthcare data, there are privacy issues, and they don't want to share that. I mean, that's definitely a challenge, because we have all these big healthcare systems and they want to do their own thing. So that remains a challenge. I don't think anybody will say, hey, let's combine our data and do that. Ideally, as you said, they have to share their data, come up with better programs, and help people. But again, there are insecurities, there are politics, there are some what do you call they want to have their own system. So there are a lot of issues for sure. So, and definitely that data sharing is going to be a challenge, and we have to maneuver through at least combining the smaller practices, smaller groups, to really get the data to come up with good algorithms. Yeah.
So the data is it's not a it's a political, as you said, that political and legal, both of them. There's a lot of challenges, lawsuits on the Epic, and other people putting the federal government is putting their lawsuits on them. So it's kind of a big challenge in that sense. The sharing Without sharing the data, we may not find that kind of access. As you say, that if it is not a good data, that is not going to be, the results are not going to be that strong. So I think AI can create some synthetic data, but it is a challenging, in that sense. So I think the political legal is all involved. Let me ask you a question on the now. Let me go back to the American Association of Physicians of Indian origin. I know I used to go there 1990s, and before that, in the beginning days with the Dr. Nanda and all those places, I used to go. We are me and Satheesh and Santichari were three people, non-physicians, used to hang around with the API. That is the first few days we used to sponsor, and we supported them. That changed. India, the API became a very powerful force in this country. The Indian, I placed a lot of Indian doctors in rural villages, rural towns in this country. I went to, you would not believe, Bradshaw, West Virginia. There is no hot, even a water. Water is not there. You have to carry the water to go there. It's a mines, in the mines. So in the coal mines, where area. So the shortage of these physicians, that is a bigger challenge in this country. 2, 3 physicians per 1,000 population is a desired value, but it's unevenly distributed. What is your take on the physician lack of, primary care, particularly? That is a big challenge. So tell us a little bit about the rural America. That's particularly the new administration, maybe thinking about rural America. You are kind of Ohio is a kind of a semi-rural, for us.
Well, yeah, rural communities are there in every state.
Yeah.
So that is, rural people don't have good, facilities, as you said, especially healthcare. And there are certain communities which are totally supported by foreign medical graduates and Indian medical graduates, where if they're not there, the system can collapse. So, definitely the role of physicians in rural areas is very, very important. And there's a potential for a shortage of about 100,000 physicians in about 10 years. So, because people are retiring and with all the new treatments, we need more doctors. Even recruiting doctors has become a very tough job because, even for primary care specialists, they don't want to go to rural areas. They want to stay in cities. I think government has to give some incentives, like writing up the loans or something if they go and work in the rural areas, just to give them some healthcare there. And now there is a gap, and then some of the gaps are being filled by physician extenders, like nurse practitioners or physician assistants. We call them advanced practice providers, APPs. But that actually is not going to really address the shortage. So I think some states are giving opportunity to foreign medical graduates to come and practice in their states without doing residencies, as long as they have done post graduation back home, and if they come here and do the pass USMLE without residency, they can practice because they are actually in dire situation without doctors. So that is a good thing. I think about 10 states are actually doing this type of licensing without residency, which I think is a good thing, because we need doctors in the area. So we cannot really produce all these doctors in the next 10 years, because producing a doctor takes a long time and it is very expensive. So that's why it's better to do that, to for the stopgap thing, so to really take care of the problem in the interim. So then, as more doctors are coming out, I think we need more residency spots. That's what we have been advocating. Though we have a lot of medical schools, we don't have enough residency spots, enough fellowship spots. We do need to increase that, but it's very expensive. That's why they are not really funding this. Even for 1,000 residents, it costs a few $billions. So that's why people are not really taking that over. So I think it's a very important thing to really improve the rural healthcare by actually incentivizing people to go into rural areas to practice there, and to let foreign medical graduates to come and actually close that gap, or narrow the gap, at least, if not close it. So these are things that they can do. And even a lot of physicians are on H-1 visas, for example, as you said, West Virginia, North Dakota, South Dakota, people are on H-1 visas for 15 years. And API has been advocating to fast track their green card. So it's a very, very important thing to do, because a lot of times, the physicians who are practicing there on H-1 visas feel insecure, because if something happens, they have to go back to their country, and their family has to go back. So it is completely an unreasonable thing, because they did the residencies and everything, and they are trying to help rural communities. But just because of the visa, they have to go back and all that. So I think we have to be smart about this. We have to really fast track their green cards and keep them in the country to help some communities which really need healthcare. So this is very, very important.
I place a lot of J1 visa doctors, J1 visa and O1 visa doctors. They in small rural areas at the time of President Clinton initiated the J1 waiver program. So that was a big boon to the rural America. I placed a lot of doctors, cardiologists, oncologists in rural California, rural Georgia. I placed a lot of them. Now the challenge is, as you mentioned just now, they don't prefer to go to small towns. So incentives has to be very aggressive in that area to really practice and help the doctors, because the biggest healthcare system, hospitalist program, is more attractive to a lot of doctors. Then that is one of the challenges we have to facing. That how do you address that, the whole aspect of incentives for these kind of doctors?
Right. True.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's what government has to focus on. How to really increase the physician force in this country in a more efficient way, more what do you call with quality, and we want the quality doctors. And NPs and PAs are great, but they can only focus on certain diseases, not like the whole whole person, because it needs a lot of training. It needs the medical school training, needs a residency. I mean, to come to this level, I mean, we do 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school, 3 years of residency, 3 years of fellowship, or even more. For all these things, and I think that really helps to gain knowledge, to be more confident. I think hiring more physicians will actually reduce the cost, and there are a lot of studies with physician extenders, the cost may go up in healthcare. So I think it's a very, very important issue that the government has to focus on, and will continue to advocate to allow more foreign medical graduates to come here and make their licensing process easier, so that they can practice here. Not only that, the people who are already there on H-1 visas, to fast track their green cards.
So you're the president of the largest ethnic organization, Indian Physician Association, as a kind of force. What are you doing with other organizations like American Medical Association? Are you creating some kind of a organizational structure that you work together, the cooperation and the coordination together? Are you doing anything there?
Yes, we are. In fact, we talk to them very frequently. We have liaisons from API working with AMA, and we have every time an AMA president coming to the API conventions, annual convention. So I already had a couple of meetings with AMA people. So AMA actually works for a lot of things, scope of practice issues, actually increasing the reimbursements, and also decreasing regulatory burden, such as pre-authorizations and things like that. So we are working with them, very closely, and it's all collaboration, right? So if API cannot do everything by itself, though it is the largest ethnic physician organization, and it is the second largest medical organization in the country, I think it is very important to work with other organizations like AMA, American College of Physicians, and then FSMB, which is Federation of State Medical Boards, and things like that. So this is my theme this year. Collaboration is very, very important. My goals this year are actually, number one, education. Number two, legislation. Number three, actually collaboration. Number four, communication. All these things, and then fifth one is encouraging younger generation. So these are the 5 things I want to focus on this year, because it's very important to work on all fronts to take this organization forward and to make the healthcare system better.
So enrolling in AI, enrolling the young members of the organization, the new doctors, American-born doctors, or Indian American-born doctors, is a challenge because they wanted to get a lot of new technologies, new things they want to see. So are you because you studied artificial intelligence in Stanford, so you have some ideas about that, how to implement and how to encourage them. So is a kind of adopting instead of worried about that.
Yes.
Adopting that kind of a process is a big helpful. Dr. Kathula, you and me are from the same state. There's an important doctor who came to this country in 1940s. His name is Dr. Yallapragada Subbarao.
Yes.
He is. I did a lot of shows on him. My father's name is also Subbarao. My father is a doctor in a small village, and he's a teacher and a doctor. RMP doctor is kind of. So what he did was an amazing. He was a Mother Tech said he deserves 4 Nobel Prizes. He didn't get any one of them. So the deputy chief minister of Andhra Pradesh is talking about putting a college on his name. Are we doing anything to encourage this gentleman? He has a bust in the Pfizer labs. Actually, Dr. Yallapragada Subbarao his people are recognizing. People are writing books now, and they're recognizing his contributions slowly. So, as from the same state as you and me, what do you have something that we can propose to that kind of system to the?
Yes. I heard about that, and AAPI is going to send a letter to the government of Andhra Pradesh, to the chief minister, and I put it in some of the groups saying that it is a wonderful idea to actually put his name, for a college, name a college after him, because he has done so much, as you said, and he's definitely worth of Nobel Prize, worthy of Nobel Prize. So he couldn't get in, unfortunately. And definitely we are going to work with the AP government to make that happen. So he totally deserves that, because he has invented a lot of things, and we are very proud, not only as a Telugu person, but also as an Indian, as a doctor from medical fraternity. We all should be proud of him.
Yeah, that's correct. Dr. Kathula, let me ask you, what do you do with all these pressures you have? You're running as an oncologist, and then you're running to the different cities. That Hital Gore, I know her, I see her, Hital, that you're in New Jersey recently. You're traveling, and what do you do? I understand you also sing. You're a singer. So tell us a little bit about relaxation techniques for you. How do you manage all these busy schedules?
No, I think the busyness is there. Everybody's busy, basically. But how you manage your time? Most of the times, all these events are on the weekend, so I can, do that. And then my work schedule is a little flexible, which I'm fortunate about. And then, there are certain things that the travel gets to you sometimes. But I'm still young. I'm in mid-50s, so I can travel. Seeing people, I love people. I mean, seeing people gives me energy, and doing things gives me energy. So that's how I can really do this job. There are 2 full-time jobs as an oncologist, as you said, and as an AAPI president. And AAPI president is actually more than a full-time job. But when you do the right things, I mean, I left a lot of things which I used to like: watching movies, listening to music every day, playing golf. All those things. I gave up watching cricket and whatnot. I grew up with watching cricket. I'm sure you know how it is. But I just kept those things aside, for at least for the time being. So if people say I don't have time, it's an excuse. If you have passion, you get time. So basically, you have 24 hours in a day, and you have to prioritize things, right? I mean, you have to prioritize and see what is important for you during that time, and for a month or for a year. So you have to determine which is important. So definitely there are 3 things. First is family, second is work, third is AAPI, and 4 are hobbies and other avocations that I have. Yeah, I like to sing, and that actually gives me a lot of stress relief. And whether that relieves others' stress or not, but it certainly relieves my stress. But yeah, I mean, it's I like to go to all these concerts and try to sing there. All the conventions. If somebody asks me, so I love to do that. And as recently as this past weekend, we went to Washington D.C. for YPS meeting, Young Physician Section meeting, and we had so much fun there. I mean, the whole day was busy, but in the evening we had, and there's a lot to learn in life. And when you go to these meetings, you meet people, and you get to know a lot of new things. So I look forward to those things actually.
Dr. Kathula, you're doing a commendable job running a complex organization with all the trials and triumphs of the that are running an organization is not
It's
an easy thing.
more
You are,
complex than what I thought. I mean, but it is the nature of the beast, right? I mean, you have people from everywhere, not only from India but also from here. So everybody thinks that they're in their own mind, and they want certain things in certain way, but they may not go in certain way. Everybody's different. But I think we have to look at things from 20, 30,000 feet up, because that's when we can do things. I mean, not micromanaging and things like that. So we need to look at things in a broad way, and how we can help the physician community, leaving all the differences alone. We need to unite. That's my goal, to unite everybody, regardless of their region, their religion, their caste, their creed. So everybody has to come together. It is actually helping ourselves, right? So you're not helping other people if some people get involved in these things. I mean, there is an organization which can do things. If you think about an idea, just take that idea and run with it. For example, there is a person, Dr. Satheesh Kathula. So I asked him, we just had a conversation once, and I said, hey, I want to do this bone marrow or stem cell drive. So he just took that, and he's running with that, because that's how we can make things happen. So it's not like, titles don't mean anything. They just come and go. I mean, next year by this time, I'll be the ex-president. I mean, but the thing is that what we are actually doing for the organization, and what kind of impact we are making on the members, on the organization, and the whole Indian diaspora, or the whole American healthcare system. So those are the things we have to look at. For that, if I have to spend more time, I'll be happy to. And in the meantime, there are little, roadblocks, or, little hiccups that, that's part of life. So you have to deal with those. So, yeah.
as a head of the largest ethnic organization, as a head of the largest ethnic organizations, the American Association of Physicians of Indian origin is an important voice in the American healthcare system.
Yes.
So thank you for joining with us. It is a total privilege to talk with you, and an honor. And then I want you to, you're doing a great job, commendable job, and you're doing with all the the positive things you're keeping in mind, and you're doing a positive stuff, rather than worried about the solving the talking about problems rather than creating a solutions for the
I think
problems is a very
positive is the way to do. I mean, be positive. I mean, that's what I tell people. I mean, you cannot think about negative things, or you cannot be bogged down with those things. So yeah, think positively, think right, and do right. That's what I say. Thank you for
thank you, Dr.
the show. So
Yeah.
it's
Thank
wonderful.
you, Dr. Kathula. You're a tremendous job you're doing. We are all proud of you.
Thank
And
you.
then it is a really a tough job. It's a sometimes thankless job you're doing, but it is the job we need it. So this is the time. Thank you so much for the joining with us. It's a
Thank you.
total honor and privilege for
Thank you.
me.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir. Yeah, hello. Yeah, thanks. It is interesting. So I have a very close relationship with the American AAPI Association, American Association of Physicians of Indian origin. You know, I I always debated in my mind, sometimes regrets. If I started with the computers. Actually, I'm one of the first few guys studied computers in Montreal, Canada, Concordia University. I I did not. I was something my father initiated something about me. My father was a small town teacher and a doctor. He was the only, very the village doctor he is. So I inspired me so much to do. I thought only you could do something as a doctor, but I did a lot of other things besides being a I'm not a doctor, but what I did was I placed a lot of doctors in small villages. That's one thing is gives me immense satisfaction, to be honest with you. you know I placed every hundreds of doctors. I helped them quite a bit. I helped doctors to start a bank. I helped to start organizations. Their HMOs, IPAs, all these things I was involved. That's why I could able to talk the entire spectrum of the healthcare a little bit. Because of that association, it is healthcare is such a precious one. I think it's a noble job, it's a noble profession. People think it's all doctors make all. Really, there is a lot of nobility is involved. This is a it is a think about this. A computer guy sitting down in the Silicon Valley, just look at the screen, but you have to as a doctor, you have to listen every day. Pains, sufferings. Think about that. What kind of a mental state you have to be? You have to be very resilient. For a strong person has to be every day listening the pains and complaints. Think about that. So we owe, as a non-physicians, we all owe to the doctors enormous gratitude. So I am particularly proud of my things. This is the one thing I see my Father in heaven. He would have been so happy to see me today, talking with the president of my home state, doctor, become a president of Indian Doctors Association, one of the largest ethnic organizations in the United States. It is happy to be there. It's a really great moment for me to be. This is a thank you so much, Dr. Kathula. You're one of the we need people like you more and more. It is not an easy job. I tell you, the politics is always there. It's a part of the American politics. You have to, it penetrates every organization. So anyway, that's a good. And I spoke with Ella Subbarao. Is one of the. I did a lot of programs on him. I'm going to do that another one in January. Dr. Ella Subbarao and my father is a doctor, and they tell you a little bit about their journeys in the medicine. Thank you all for joining. It's really a total privilege to me to be here today. And Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving for all of you. I know you're good traveling. Anybody, be safe, and then don't fight with the family members. And if you want to fight, just go there, go outside and do some meditation, do something. If you don't fight with them, there's no reason to. There is a much more higher cause. Our think about the universe, and then we are all under the laws of physics. We are governed by the laws of physics, not anything else. So we are a part of that universe. So if you think that way, these are all small things, trivial things that go away. Thank you all for joining. Good night, all of you. I'm really, it was a total privilege to be today. Thank you so much. And I see you next. Actually, I want to tell you something. Let me give you some, we had a wonderful month. This is the last guest. Dr. Satheesh Kathula is the last guest, right? I am going to show you that a little bit about who is coming next. That I gave you a lot of Subbarao, Dr. Kathula, that is. But he spoke about all those things, and he was he was very active in COVID time. He was helping India. Then he was Dr. Kathula actually giving a patch for a woman, a sanitary patch. That is like in India, that is a big thing. It's a huge necessity there. But the last one I want to tell you, I had a wonderful month this month. I had a poet, Renzo Castillo. He spoke. He's a healthcare executive. He was working for a major company, and then after that, he became a poet. Then, it's a very extraordinary journey he did that from Lima, Peru. And the Rajita Bommakanti, she's a good friend of mine, and she's same state as mine too. She was a nurse, and she gives a lot of this coaching. She's a really holistic coach. She has this techniques. She gives you very good techniques to relax yourself. Then I have a star, from Atlanta, my hometown, Dr. Rashad Ritchie. He is a fighter. He's a firecracker. In fact, he's really interesting, and he has a modern. He studied physics. He studied quantum physics. He studied. He has a PhD. He has a modern polymath. He's in every field. He's a journalist. He runs a law firm. He's a very interesting character. It is really wonderful to talk with him. Always my ever friend Susan Davis. She is we became so close. We talk, all the times. She's a frequent guest of mine, Susan Davis. She's a nurse. She has that spirit that really brings everybody good things. Dr. Dyke Drummond, is one of the coaches for the things. He is very, organized, and he gives you 40,000 doctors he trained physician burnout side, if you want to. Then the final is a guest of honor, Dr. Satheesh Kathula, one of the largest ethnic organizations. Is second, actually, among the physician organization, that is the second largest after the AMA. So he is the president of that organization. I'm privileged to talk with. It was a wonderful month. I have a next month coming up. I want to tell you who are coming up for next month. I got till the time. That's why I was. Then I'm coming up. Polymath. There is a started a MBA Polymath program from Austria, Vienna, Austria. If you want to go to Vienna, Austria, it's worth going there and studying if you have a chance. Well, I'm going to talk with the Dr. Odi Stummer. Okay, so he is the program head for that. It's going to be MBA in polymathy. That's a Polymath program. And my good friend, old friend, is coming on. Suresh Mukherjee, professor of radiation and radiation oncology. His wisdom is always required. He's a Santhiniketan. He's also a board of advisor for the Santhiniketan, one of the oldest educational organization in India. Then my friend Uli Chittipalli, another gentleman from San Francisco Bay Area. He has a innovator MD. He's very active in the technology space. He's a doctor, and he has a conference. JP Morgan conference is coming up in January. He's going to, he does a rival with that conference, and he does the same time. So you should attend that one, innovatormd.com. Then there is a Mark Moffitt is coming up here. He is a Johns Hopkins professor. He's going to talk about the new wound care, new things. He's going to talk about that. Then one of my gurus, modern guru, the Dr. Evan Alexander, he comes on my show frequently. His wisdom is out of this world. He talks about near-death experience, and as a neurosurgeon, and then he's a former neurosurgeon, and then he's author and speaker, world-renowned doctor. I'm privileged to have all of them on my show. Thank you all. See you in December. Good night, all of you. So let me. I'm going to play this my own thing again, and then I think that the other one is missing. I'm going to talk about that, But good night, all of you. Let me play the. I don't know what happened. Okay.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.